Hey everybody, welcome back to Unlocking the Paradigm Portal. My name is Sarah, and tonight we are navigating a razor-thin line, the boundary between discernment and judgment. So let's not kid ourselves. This is not just a matter of semantics or good intentions. This is the difference between moving through the world as really a clear channel, like open, honest, able to stand in your own truth, and unconsciously building little prisons for yourself and for everyone around you. I don't know if you've thought of it that way. Judgment is a little prison. So it's one of those dualities that sounds simple, like just be discerning, don't be judgmental, until you actually start untangling it. And it's a little bit more complicated. So it gets kind of uncomfortable when you have to untangle it, and probably even a little bit confronting. And if you're honest, it can expose just how quickly clarity can morph into condemnation, and how easily your wisdom, or what you perceive as your wisdom, or hopefully you have some wisdom, can turn into a subtle form of becoming very self-righteous. So we're going to start by naming it and describing it. Discernment is the art of seeing clearly. It's tuning into your body's signals, your intuition, that quiet yes or the clear no that rises up from your gut. And it's being able to say, this is right for me, or that's not my path, without immediately looking for blame or shame or assigning worth to yourself or to somebody else. So let's get real though. Clarity without compassion can become very cold, and discernment can get hijacked and taken over by old wounds, or by fear, or by the stories that you inherited but never really stopped to realize that they were just inherited. They're not your story. And judgment, that things get heavy when we're dealing with judgment. So judgment slides in all smooth and slick. It makes me think of Tom Cruise in Risky Business with this energy of, I know better. You're wrong. And sometimes, a lot of times, the mentality is, I am fundamentally different and probably superior to you. And it sorts people and experiences and even versions of yourself into neat little boxes, good or bad, right or wrong, worthy or unworthy, safe or dangerous. And here's the thing. First of all, if you know me, I am not a fan of boxes. There is no box that I feel like I fit into, and I don't think anybody really does. But those boxes may have kept you feeling safe at one point in time. And I'm wondering what boxes you found yourself inside of, maybe in your family, your community. Maybe you put yourself in a box because of trauma, or the world is so freaking unpredictable, or it felt really unsafe to just live in that uncertainty. And the truth is, sometimes it might feel kind of good to judge. You might get that dopamine hit of that righteousness, but really what's underneath it is that it's isolating, and it separates you from not only others, but from those parts of yourself that you haven't learned to love yet and to accept. So here's where I want to push a little bit. I want you to start tuning into, what does it feel like in your body when you're in discernment versus you're in judgment. So discernment is kind of like feeling yes or no in your body and for you and what you need and what you want. And it feels clean and it feels clear and steady. And it brings this sense of clarity and ease to your body and to your mind. And it can feel like your chest might feel open and expansive, and like your heart has some space to breathe and expand. And it might feel like your belly, your gut, your stomach, your abdomen, whatever you want to call it, feels soft, like you don't have to tense up or put that armor on to keep yourself protected. Your shoulders are probably going to be relaxed, your jaw. You might feel the tension draining away, pretty much because you're not trying to defend yourself or needing to. And this might sound weird, but it feels like a soft breeze. That might sound weird, but I'm just thinking about how it feels right now. It feels like a soft breeze kind of clearing the mental clutter out. And it's just that transparency. There's no reading between the lines. There's no guessing. You just know, and therefore you act on it. And it feels really grounded, like you are really firmly planted in your truth. And you might notice that you literally are able to breathe a little bit deeper, and your heartbeat might be a little bit steadier. And just all of these feelings of your body giving you a big yes. So the other thing that I was just thinking about is, like, facial expression wise, when you're in discernment and you're in your honesty and in your truth, I wonder, when you have those moments, notice, what do your eyes do? Because when you are being very open and clear and transparent and discerning, your eyes actually widen a little bit. And if you're being negative or judging, you may notice your eyes get a little bit squintier, because it's that questioning. And emotionally, discernment, it's kind of like hearing a clear sound. Like if you've ever heard a really beautiful, pristine bell ringing, or a tuning fork, or like my daughter just bought a guitar, so I'm thinking when she strums and hits the chord just right. And that sound, it's like, again, it's a yes, this fits. And if it's off key, then you can tell it doesn't fit and it's time to move on, set some boundaries. And you can do it because you are so rooted in clarity and not in fear and defensiveness. It's like making a clean break when you make that decision that's right for you, and the ease that comes with it when you choose honesty over people pleasing. It's like a little click, that click of things falling into place. But judgment, how does judgment feel? As soon as I said it, I felt heavier. Judgment doesn't just live in your mind, it really, really lands in your body. And I've asked some people what it felt like, and they've said it feels like contraction, or a tightening, or pulling away from the world, or from themselves, not for them. Well, for themselves too. They've mentioned like getting clenching in your gut. You know what that feels like when you're kind of tensed up, ready to go into defense mode. And a big one is you may notice some tension in your jaw. Your teeth might get set. You might be grinding your teeth if it's that bad. And one thing that people don't ever notice is, what is your tongue doing? Is it pushing up against the back of your teeth? Is it pushing up against the roof of your mouth? That's tension. That's not that relaxation. And then going back to the eyes, because I'm so happy that just dawned on me. Think of it like if you're judging someone, you're literally looking down on them, whether real, like in reality, or metaphorically. And your eyes do tighten. And I'm doing it right now as I'm saying this. And you might even like lift your chin up a little bit, like how you would picture someone who's in a state of superiority, and with the shoulders kind of hiked up a little bit, and even a tightening across your chest and shoulders, like you're bracing for a blow or closing yourself off. And I'm curious, I can't think of it right now, but if there's any body temperature changes. I don't know. When I get upset or frustrated, I find my body temperature, depending on the situation, sometimes it gets warmer, sometimes it gets colder. I'm going to have to pay attention to that one. So these are all things that I encourage everyone to do. I have worked with the human body for 21 years. And what I've seen across the board is that people don't tune into what things feel like, what situations feel like, what people feel like, how your body is responding and telling you. And this discernment and judgment ties right into that. And I'm just thinking now, judgment, like emotionally, okay, this is going to sound super weird. Emotionally, it gives me this feeling of like sticky. And I'm getting like, when you go to a diner and you sit down and they hand you the menu and you open it and it's got like jam residue on it and it's kind of sticky and it's gross. That's what judgment kind of feels like. And it's creating separation between you and others, and especially from parts of yourself. And it might just be like a little flash of that ick feeling, or that separation, or a brick that you just put up as a wall instead of a boundary, or like a little bit less breath available, a little less open, a little more tension, a little more defensiveness. And you can't really shake it off, but you know that you're not showing up as your best self. So I want to go a little bit deeper into what the function of judgment is. And I want you to think about who taught you to judge yourself, other people, the world. And when you feel yourself slipping into that mode, what are you really protecting? I mean, it most often can be a shield of sorts for that inner child who learned that it wasn't safe, it wasn't okay, it wasn't acceptable to be uncertain, or to feel scared, or grief, or fear, or even envy and jealousy. And this is where it ties back to shadow work and duality, which has been the whole theme of all of these. And by the way, I'm really proud of myself for doing this every day. And I get excited about it too now. So the parts that you judge most in yourself, those are the parts in your shadow. That is the shadow work that are just waiting for you to give it attention and heal them. And the really difficult truth is that the more you judge, the more that you fracture yourself, so to speak, and your progress towards self-acceptance. So think of it this way: discernment invites integration and connection, and judgment breeds separation. But if you're able to see the judgments as they come up as like signposts pointing you towards something within you that desperately wants your attention, and come from a place of curiosity and compassion, you're going to learn so much about yourself. It'll be difficult, but beautiful. So when these things come up, and they always do, even if it's just a little snippet, even if it's like, ugh, can you believe what that person's wearing? Or, God, I can't believe they'd drive that car, or whatever it is, I can't believe they'd say that. If it brings up a little flicker of judgment, just pause and think, what is this showing you about yourself? Do you feel shame about something that ties into this? Are you jealous that they're feeling that they can do what they want or say what they want? If it's upsetting to you, is it triggering some kind of wounding inside of you? And if you don't know what that is, we will get into that at another point too. And I also want you to ask yourself, how would your world, not just, the world and your world shift if you approached yourself and others with radical curiosity and radical honesty instead of condemnation, even when and especially when it's hard? So don't fool yourself into thinking that you can like transcend judgment forever. It's human, it's ancient, but just for tonight, can you get honest about where it lives in you? Can you trace it back to its roots and see if maybe, just maybe, you can bring in a little more discernment and a whole lot more grace? And I challenge you to notice it in the wild. Like, notice it in your everyday experiences, in your social media scrolling, in your relationships, in conversations, in interactions, even, stop at the coffee shop and get a coffee, and the interactions that you have there. What do you notice? And especially get really curious about your self-talk and where you judge yourself. Get uncomfortable as you're not going to have a choice. It's going to be uncomfortable as you get curious, and notice where you are showing up from a place of judgment. And don't pile on more shame, but just see if you can allow yourself to pivot just slightly toward discernment and away from that judgment. And as always, if this brings up something big, or if you have a story you want to share or reach out, I am always, always open and here for your ever-evolving self. And tomorrow, I'm super excited about this one. And I know I say that every time, because if you can't tell by the sparkle in my voice as I'm saying this, these topics are my favorite thing to talk about. So tomorrow, I am going to tackle surrender versus control, and get ready because that one is going to crack everybody open. And it reminds me of a line from one of my favorite movies is PCU. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Super awesome movie from the 90s. And there's a line in it where Draws has to hand a thesis to someone who lost theirs. And he says, "Ooh, it's a scorcher." And that's how I feel about surrender versus control. So check that movie out. It's fantastic. And it reminded me that I went to George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelics, his birthday party at Woodstock 99. It was very cool to relive that while watching the movie and watch my kid get into it. So wrapping it up here. Thank you for going deep with me, and keep noticing, keep questioning, and keep coming home to yourself. And I will talk to you again tomorrow.